Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello folks, welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos. My name is John Fahey. Joining me, one of the most gorgeous men to ever walk the planet. His name is Aaron Joseph Pita. Hello there, Aaron.
John Francis, how are you?
I am just dandy.
You look great.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. I know that.
You know, as much as we say how good looking we all are.
Don't you fucking do it.
We all no, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
But Matt looks better than you. No, but no. No, I was gonna say, just so everybody knows, because people ask us about it a lot. We also say it in person.
We do talk about it. We do talk about how much we love each other.
Yes.
Off air.
Yeah, all
frequently
the time.
to each other's faces. Hugs abound.
Yes. The day that this episode premieres will be the 1-year anniversary of Profiles in Eccentricity, August 22nd.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
It is incredible, and it also seems about time.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, we've done a lot of shit, and it seems like a while, but not, I guess, like everything else.
Yeah, it's still fresh and it's still new to me, but it is a part of our lives.
Matt Brousseau, what do you think? Does it feel like a long time? Matt Brousseau, everybody, gorgeous man.
Hi.
Oh, listen to him.
Hi.
What do you think? Does it seem like a year?
Does it feel like a year has passed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we got? 39 episodes, something like that.
That's not bad. Not bad for a year.
No. Yeah. I mean, we weren't weekly at the beginning.
Right. But the crowd spoke.
Yeah, we
demanded it.
Yes.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't always come through that we didn't have 3 months to spend researching something.
Right, exactly. But some of these were a long time in the making.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them, yeah. And some of them, we went down a wormhole and nerded out in our rooms alone, researching like madmen.
Yes.
And sometimes they were done on the fly.
Yes.
But, if you ever have... if you ever spot an error, feel free to let us know. We're more than happy to learn.
And there are certainly errors. But the big thing that we care about most is that you like it. And you like us.
We're going to do a couple of questions from the Patreon subscribers because they are our bread and butter.
They are.
Mm-hmm. And
we love you folks.
We do love you guys so much. We don't want to jerk ourselves off too much. There's a lot of questions that came in. We're just going to do about 3.
You got to be like a level 6 Patreon to...
Yes, that's
right. Exactly. Yeah, you got to get to the Tom Cruise level of Scientology. This is a good one. If you had to play wingman for one of the profiles y'all have covered, who would it be and why? That's from Ben Vossler, Patreon subscriber Ben Vossler. Wingman.
Sexual wingman? Like
going out on him laid. In my opinion, there's no contest. It's Catalina, the cross-dressed nun on the run.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Because you would just be like, you see this dude over here, he's killed 100 men.
Also.
And he'll go down on you for 5 hours and not take his dick out once. That to me is like, there's no better sale than that.
Yeah.
Though the issue, though, is that often the people who were with her died.
Yeah.
The people who were...
Fair warning, might spend 3 months in a church.
Right,
yeah.
But, maybe...
You might get into a duel, and then she'll come in a little late to save your life.
Right.
Even if you're her brother.
Can you think of anybody else you'd want to play wingman for?
Oh, gosh. So this is of no benefit to me.
No.
Why would I want to do anything?
Well, I mean...
That's very good, Aaron. That's very good.
So this is like, who do I want to go out and get them laid?
Get them laid. Yeah, well, it's a story.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that dead Pope that they fished out of the water. Weekend at Bernie's the Pope.
Fuck him, he's Pope.
Yes. He's only got 3 fingers on one end.
That's how you know he's the Pope.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say Satch.
Satch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That'd be a good old time.
Yeah.
I'd just spend a day with him. I don't care if anyone gets laid.
Right, yeah. It would just be fast times.
Yeah.
It would be very fast times.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Thank you,
I
Aaron.
wish I had a better answer.
Well, next time.
Damn it.
This is to me a very easy one, real quick, from Stephen Parks.
Superfan Stephen Parks.
Oh, hi, Stephen.
He wants to know: has there ever been a potential profile that you thought was too fucked up? Absolutely not.
No.
Not at all.
Nope. There's some down the road that, part of it is I think I know, speaking for myself, that I've hesitated on a few going through with them so far because I don't want to step on kind of like some other podcast territory.
Sure.
Some podcasts are like super into the serial killer
especially
thing.
the murder.
The true crime stuff, yeah.
So I don't want to have too much overlap with those, just speaking from a branding perspective.
But no kind of like self-censoring at all.
Zero self-censoring.
Right?
No, I mean, I think there have been some where you're like, oh, it's just one incident and it's kind of fucked up, and so it's maybe it's not enough for a full thing.
Right. Nothing in terms of content is we've censored ourselves with.
This is a very good one. If you were making a biopic of your favorite profile, which actor would be your top choice to play the part and why? Jason Kepik comes with that question. Patreon.
That's a good one.
Jason Kepik.
Well, I mean, just right off the top of my head, it would be a better version of Jack Parsons.
Right.
Because CBS did the thing, and apparently it sucks.
CBS Digital, right?
Yeah, yes. Their streaming-only service, which apparently is like, it's adult and all that, but it looks like shit.
They're going to do a Twilight Zone. Very exciting.
Very excited for that. Jordan Peele.
Yes.
But I would have Dominic Cooper play Jack Parsons. Dominic Cooper plays Preacher on AMC's Preacher. He also played Tony Stark in Captain America.
I was going to say Downey Jr. for Parsons. That was the first thing that came to mind.
Oh, I would have to say like 15 years ago, Downey Jr., because Downey Jr. is like 50-something now, and Parsons died at 35.
Yeah.
So you need a younger Downey, but I could totally see that. Yes. Sure. I mean, they got Dominic Cooper to play his dad in Captain America.
Yeah.
So there's a resemblance there.
I think I'd like Paul Giamatti to do the Prince of Porn.
Very good.
Hang up the fucking phone! Paul Giamatti.
Pig vomit, ass, Prince of Porn.
Matt, anything?
I'd like Chris Farley to play a wheel of cheese.
Big one.
A big wheel of cheese.
That's good stuff. I just want to do one real quick one, last one from Tajina, our friend.
Hey!
Tajina
wants to know, if you had to pick one of your profiles as a roommate for 1 year, who would it be and why? No contest for me, Matthew Weigman.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because I love prank phone calls. And that guy, his talent would open up entire avenues for comedy.
Oh my God.
Okay,
be the president.
Yeah, and also
talk to the president
and get me the president's phone number.
Yeah, and call Trump as Trump, saying that you're the future version of Trump.
Right. Yes. Yes.
He would totally believe it.
He would 100% believe it.
That reminds me of one of my favorite stories about Trump. John,
please, I love this so much. Please tell it.
I don't know this.
So there's the whole thing with WWE where Vince McMahon fought the WWE, and then I believe he got kicked out or something. He lost his match, and they kicked him out. And so there's this whole scene where he has to walk out of the arena, and he walks past the entire crew, and he leaves the arena, and he gets into a limo, and it explodes into a fireball.
Right.
And Triple H was saying he was saying, I think it was on Stern or Opie and Anthony, he was like, yeah, we got a lot of calls. Some people believed that he had died. And he said, even Donald Trump called and he wanted to know if Vince was okay.
He really...
Nothing fake about that news. This is wrestling.
TV is life to him, man.
Yeah, it really is.
He does not get it.
Man, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Shout out to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, running the organization.
Now, Aaron, on our 1 year anniversary, you have a little something for us, don't you?
I do. This was one of those, you mentioned some we take months to think about and prepare, and some just strike you on the fly. And this was one of those that was just like, oh, what? How have I never heard of this guy? This is one that I immediately thought about Matt when I read. This is about a Jew named Moe Berg.
Oh.
Okay.
I can already see why you thought of it.
No, he's a baseball player.
Yes.
Baseball player in the 20s and 30s. But this was a very special guy. This guy was very, like, this was like made for this show, right? This guy, called by Casey Stengel, former manager of the Yankees, an eccentric man himself, said, Moe Berg is the strangest man ever to play baseball.
Wow.
High praise.
From one of the strangest men to ever play baseball.
Wow.
John Kieran, a former sports columnist for the New York Times, called Moe the most scholarly athlete I ever knew.
Ooh.
That's usually a bad thing.
Yes.
Usually they're like, this
Right.
guy reads books, we can't have him around.
Yeah, he wasn't that great of a ball player, but he was good enough ish. There may be
Right.
something behind it all.
Ah.
He was born in a cold water tenement in Manhattan, March 2nd, 1902, to Russian Jewish immigrant parents. Dad was a druggist, learning to be a pharmacist when he moved here. He moved here before the wife, saved up enough money to move her here. Then they had 2 other kids, and then they had Moe. And they wanted him to be a lawyer. So he was a really good student.
Right, and that makes the family authentic. You know,
Yes, it ingrains you in the community and whatnot. But they were not like a total part of the local Jewish community. They were kind of aloof.
Right.
You know, normally like immigrants, they'll stick together and kind of like form these small little communities. But they were kind of aloof.
Weirdos.
Yeah, and that
Right.
and that kind of informed the rest of.
And now where and when are they?
He was born in 1902 in Manhattan.
Okay.
And then they moved to the Roseville section of Newark, New Jersey, when he was like 9
Beautiful
months,
Newark.
9 months
Yeah.
old, something like that. And that's when the father, Bernard, opened his own pharmacy. And it was for of all places, the Roseville Methodist Episcopal Church that Moe started playing his first organized baseball. And so because he was Jewish, he came up with a new name for himself, Runt Wolf with an E.
Huh.
Like Moe Berg.
Runt Wolf.
Right.
It's a direct translation,
Yes,
I believe.
it's-
Yeah.
And so, like I said, they really pushed him for him to become a lawyer. So he did. While in high school, he was an all-city third baseman, had a rifle arm. He graduated high school when he was 16, and then went to NYU and transferred to Princeton. Most of the students there were like waspy folk, you know. At Princeton, they've got their whole Princeton thing.
Yeah, lots changed.
Yeah, real progressive. But Moe, being Jewish and not affluent, was kind of on the outskirts of even the small community of Princeton.
Right. The runty end.
Yes, the runt wolf
Yes.
of the litter.
I like just calling yourself Runt.
Yeah, it's
like a passive aggressive thing.
yeah, it's like calling a big guy tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Was he a big guy?
I think probably for the time, I think he was like 5'9", $170.
I mean, third basemen are usually tough bastards because that's usually where the hardest hit balls are.
Well, he was born in a cold water tenement in 1902.
Right.
Those are basically flop houses with no hot running water.
Yeah.
The lady of the house would usually have to boil water on a stove for hot baths if you were lucky enough to even have like
fucking 4-hour bath.
running. If you were lucky to have gas, most of the
Right.
time you had just like kerosene lamps.
Yeah.
Back then, like time was not good before now.
Right.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Things sucked so recently.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot about like the 20s and stuff lately in general, and just, man.
Yeah, it's 98 years ago yesterday when we're recording that white women got the right to vote.
Wow.
White ones.
White women, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Progress, folks.
Yeah.
So he was a loner, and this kind of contributed to his kind of more mysterious ways later. But like I said, because he was Jewish, he ran into some awkward moments at Princeton. One of his teammates was nominated for a membership in one of these like prestigious dining clubs there. Not exactly fraternities. They're kind of more like, I don't know, skull and bones type of shit, but not as cloak and dagger. But his teammate accepted the nomination on one condition, that Moe Berg would also become a member. And the club said, all right, we'll let this Jewish fella in, but you got to promise not to bring any more Jews in.
Wow.
And Moe Berg said, no thanks.
Really?
Yeah, said thanks, but no
Good
thanks.
for him.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck your stupid dining club.
Yeah.
I know how to cook. I take cold showers.
Right.
And grilled cheese on a radiator. His teammate also declined to join because of that as well.
Oh.
So that was good. So, and Moe, feeling responsible for his teammates' refusal to join, later talked him into joining.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
He was a nice man, but a weird man.
Yeah.
As we'll come to find out. He started for Princeton for 3 years. During his last year, he was the captain and a star shortstop. The team was the best Princeton ever had. They won 18 straight games. And he graduated with honors in 1923, 24th in a class of 211.
Wow.
Bright fella. Allegedly a master of 12 languages.
Really?
He studied the following at Princeton: Greek, Latin, French, Spanish, and Italian. He also studied German and even Sanskrit.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And he dabbled in a few others.
Well, you know Sanskrit, you know all of them.
Yeah.
Right. It's the bare bones basics.
But he did have a little bitter taste in his mouth because of his experience there with the closed-mindedness of the Princeton folk, that he did not attend any of the class reunions.
Yeah.
Probably because he was busy playing Major League Baseball.
Right.
After graduation, he signed with Brooklyn of the National League. Back then, I think they were the Robins before they became the Dodgers. But then while he was playing baseball as a professional, he entered Columbia Law School. Caused him to miss several weeks of spring training. But he eventually graduated and passed the New York bar in 1930. But he got benched for a few games because he missed some spring training. But he was a lawyer.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why coaches hate the smart guys, because sometimes they have better things to do.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're smarter than the manager sometimes. It was at this point in life he met a man named Dutch Carter, a local eminent lawyer, who said, "Hey, keep playing professional baseball." And that was because Carter wanted to play pro ball as a kid, but his parents encouraged him to stay in law.
Right.
And I guess he kind of wanted to live vicariously a little bit through Moe, but also maybe he was threatened Moe would be a really good lawyer.
Interesting.
He told Moe that you'll have plenty of time to practice law after your baseball career is over.
Yeah, the law's not going anywhere.
It's true. Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I'll be there.
It is easy to forget that most athletes have like a 5-year window.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then what do you do?
Yeah, sell used cars.
Litigate. That's about it.
Litigate, bro. He also
Tailgate and litigate.
he followed the advice, continued playing baseball, and also turned down a job teaching Romance languages at Princeton.
Wow.
This guy was like super, super smart, apparently.
Yeah.
But not a great baseball player.
Really?
First season with Brooklyn, he played shortstop and batted 186.
That's not good.
He got sent to the minors. And in 1924, he was with Minneapolis and Toledo in the American Association. Played third base and shortstop. Combined average 264. A little bit better. Not great.
Not great.
Right.
It's not great. In 1925, he was with Reading of the International League as a shortstop. Batted 311.
Okay.
311. 311.
Dude, 311 never happened.
Whoa. I want the truth. Made it back to the majors in 1926 because he had a good year out there. Father still didn't approve of Moe's baseball career. Despite Moe's pleadings, Dad never came to a single game.
Wow. Brutal.
Free tickets, too.
In those days?
Yeah. Go see the Dodgers.
Come on.
Yeah.
Brooklyn?
Yeah, it's
New York?
It's sold out. He has to walk to the stadium.
You're just across the...
That's crazy.
Son of a bitch. Well, he's doing, the druggist stuff.
Yeah.
I think he bought a laundry.
He did?
Yeah, he bought a laundry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, was a launderer later.
Right, because he was giving everybody fucking chop for toothaches. Buy a laundry. What else am I going to do?
Yeah. Are you saying they're shitting their pants after all the chop?
I'll see you in 2 days.
I got to get into laundry.
Oh, like 2/3.
I know what's next. You're going to go to that laundromat, aren't you?
See you real soon. His dad was opposed to sports because he thought they were distractions and one very old school, right? Immigrant mentality, I suppose.
It sounds like the studies were a distraction to his sports. Because he wasn't hitting when he was learning.
Yeah, he should have been studying swinging.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Physically.
Yeah. I mean, like any fun career path, though, it's just like the most cliche thing. Your dad, you should be working.
Yeah.
Right. I wish if he was a good lawyer, I wish you were a ball player.
Right, yeah.
It's just one of those things. Moe was once asked, do you ever feel as if you'd wasted your life? And Moe said, I'd rather be a ball player than a Supreme Court justice.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah. He was playing one game in the majors, and he was playing shortstop or third. And the catcher got hurt, had had to leave the game. They didn't have any backup catchers, and one of the players asked, can anybody catch? And Moe said, I used to think I could. And the teammate said, who said you couldn't? And Moe said, my high school coach. I hear him, and if you see a picture of him, I kind of think of him as like Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
And I just kind of like think of all his quotes.
So no respect, what you're saying.
Yeah, basically no respect. Like, no, my dad, I tell you, give me no respect.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to think I could catch.
Who said you couldn't? My high school coach. But he had a strong arm, and he could throw down even the fastest of base runners. His hitting, again, would leave something to be desired. He only batted .243 with 6 home runs lifetime.
As a catcher, it's okay if you can't hit.
Right. That's not your job. That people like Mike Piazza or Johnny Bench are like outliers.
Right.
God, Mike Piazza. Man, best closeted baseball player of all time. Maybe next to Moe Berg.
Oh.
They made a movie apparently recently, and this is not how I found this story, but apparently Paul Rudd played Moe Berg in a recent kind of indie biopic type of thing.
Interesting.
There were some allusions to him being a closeted homosexual. As you'll find out, he did not marry.
In those days, telltale sign.
Yeah. I tell you, he goes out without a full trench coat. He's a homosexual.
Your uncle has a lot of friends.
He's a male spinster. What do they call those guys, though? I mean, like, old lady could be a spinster. What's a guy that doesn't get married?
Confirmed bachelor.
Confirmed bachelor,
Right.
Yes.
I think.
Right, yeah, but
he's confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah. This guy plays the field, baby.
He'll catch if you want him to. Wink. So only he batted .243 lifetimes with 6 home runs in his career, but he had good baseball acumen. He could call games, and his knowledge of hitters put him in demand around the league. He went on to play for Cleveland, Washington, and Boston until his retirement after the 1939 season. And he spent all 15 seasons almost entirely in the majors. Didn't really bounce down into the minors very much because of his defensive skills and his knowledge of the game. When Ted Williams was in his second year with the Red Sox, he sought out Moe for advice. Williams wanted to know what made hitters like Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth made them great. And Berg said, well, Gehrig would wait until he hit the pitch almost right out of the catcher's glove. I'm trying to do Rodney Dangerfield, but now I'm just sounding like a Jewish caricature. As to Ruth, he had no weaknesses. He had a good eye and laid off pitches out of the strike zone. Ted, you most resemble a hitter like Shoeless Joe Jackson, but you're better than all of them. When it comes to wrists, you've got the best.
Huh.
He was complimenting another man's wrists.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Look at a picture of Shoeless Joe Jackson sometime. That man has huge wrists.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys didn't really work out traditionally, so they were just
sledgehammers in the basement.
Yeah, they were just naturally strong people, or they worked like Hank Aaron in his offseason. He would deliver ice, and those blocks of ice. You know how strong you'd have to be to carry those things, and so they'd build up wrists, whether through work. Joe Jackson worked in factories. And
wait, I'm sorry. Who was delivering ice?
Hank Aaron.
In the off season.
Yeah.
So Hank Aaron would show up on your door with a bunch of ice.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't famous yet. Wow. I mean, a lot of those guys, they weren't making enough money. They would be like car salesmen in the off season and shit like that.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But they just huge wrists. Because in order to hit a baseball hard, you have to have some pretty strong.
It's all in the wrists.
It's not, but that's a good line.
It's all in the hips.
Right.
Is that better? Yeah, Mickey Mantle had big forearms too, huge giant. Mickey Mantle used to, no joke, he would swing sledgehammers in his basement for batting practice, like
really?
by himself. Yeah,
Jesus.
Just monster. Let's see. This Berg guy was a real weirdo when it came to the newspaper.
Oh, he's always reading?
Yeah, he was a reader. For one, he's reading. Weird.
I love a man with a newspaper.
He considered a newspaper alive. And he wouldn't let anybody touch it before he read it. If anybody touched it, it was dead. Give me a new one.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Give me a new fucking newspaper. Did you touch it? It's all fucked up. Now it's fake news, dude.
Oh, did you smudge Marmaduke?
You smudged Family Circus. You motherfucker, you.
Where did Billy go this week?
So, but he would read it cover to cover and then declare it dead also.
Wow, yeah. That's good stuff.
Even there's I guess there's a story of even like in a snowstorm, somebody touches newspaper and it was like, go out and get another one.
Wow.
Yeah. Weird.
Wow.
Weird.
Did he grow up like obsessed with newspapers?
I have no idea. I think this was just, it was literally entered in one of the biographies I was perusing. One of Berg's many eccentricities involved the newspaper, and I said, huh?
Yeah.
But no, as far as I could tell, no reasoning behind it. Although I'm sure he had a very good reason.
Well, do you remember this thing that like really resonated with me in The Wire, where they have like the newspaper, season, and the editor that gets fired for kind of running a good shop is talking about why he got into it, and he's saying when the paper came, it was like you just weren't allowed to talk to my dad.
Yeah.
And it was like that in my house. And it was like as a child, I remember wondering, what the fuck is in that thing that's so fucking important?
It was the window to the world. There was the evening edition.
Right.
That was the only way you knew what was going on before radio.
Yeah.
Radio wasn't a household appliance until the late 20s and really 30s and 40s.
Right.
And before then, all you had was the 2 newspapers of the day.
Yeah.
And there were so many newspapers too. You could choose from a bunch of different ones.
Right.
All controlled by a few people.
Yeah.
But it was this magical thing. My dad still reads the newspaper every day in the morning.
Yeah.
He gets in his car, drinks his coffee, sits in the car and reads it with his coffee.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me like a day off activity.
It is
going and getting the paper, doing the crossword. It's
I love the crossword.
That's a whole thing for me.
It's then the feel of it. It's a nice,
and it is going through the whole thing and then being like, okay, that's enough. I don't give a shit about the rest.
Yeah.
Well, I used to deliver Sunday morning newspapers to these hill towns in Massachusetts. It was Boston Globe, New York Times. And even in a snowstorm, I'd have to fucking deliver.
Yeah.
4 in the morning.
Yep. I'd pick them up at 2 in the morning, sometimes completely drunk out of my mind.
Cool.
I have to put them all together and then drive through these fucking hill towns.
Put them together.
Yep. You gotta put the comics together with the
front page.
With the front page with
Wait, what? You had to layer them together and then put them in the plastic bag?
Yeah, because they would come from different places. One place would bring the comics. One place would bring. Oh, it was like Just In Today from Boston is the editorials.
No shit.
Wow.
Or not the editorials, like the news. The editorials would come earlier. Yeah. But then you put them together, and I'd get home at like 7, 8 in the morning. But if someone doesn't get a paper, I'm getting a phone call at 7 in the morning.
Big part of people's day.
Yeah.
Big part of people's day.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for the whole
No.
papers,
I think it's important. It's a real. I mean, I think it puts this character into perspective when he was a man of the world. He gave a shit.
Yeah.
Not the other ball players weren't doing that. But he was pushing his nose into these pieces of paper that were, illuminating his perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll see why a little bit later. One day in Philadelphia, during a game, the temperature reached about 100 degrees. That's hot, John.
Yeah. Everybody's wearing wool, too.
Oh, yeah, this is before the cool, breathable polyester uniforms.
Right.
Moe threw on the catcher's equipment like he had so many times before. Stoically went out there behind home plate out to catch. Just sweating bullets.
Yeah.
And he was catching one Earl Whitehill. Fast but wild lefty. And in the 7th inning, Doc Kramer came out to bat. And they got in a staring contest, batter and pitcher. Just staring each other down. Like, extensively. Making eyes.
There's no time rules back then. You could do that for hours.
Although baseball games were very, very fast back then, they were playing in the daylight. They didn't have lights, so they were playing in the day. And 2, the game was just a faster paced game.
There was none of those routines where you step out, you step in. It was like everybody was a quote unquote pansy if you wasted any time up there.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And baseball was the thing to go watch. Like that. Baseball in the 20s and 30s was the only game in town.
Right.
I mean, they would have radio plays reenacting the game that was happening at the same time.
Right. Some guy 2 states over going, base hit.
Yeah.
Really?
Or they would hire kids to play in a park to play out what was happening live at Ebbets Field or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, and people would wait, and they'd be standing outside newspaper places, like watching the ticker go by,
screaming in Mudville.
Oh my god!
It was big.
Huh?
It was super big. Anyways, so it was hot that day, right?
Right.
He's out there They're staring daggers at each other. He's behind home plate, sweating. He's got all this stuff on. He doesn't even want to be there. He doesn't like catching. He likes to play third base, shortstop.
Yeah.
Well, this went on for quite a while, and Moe had to come up and come down, squat up, stand up, squat, all this bullshit, because this is a long at-bat. Mm-hmm. And after a while, he's sweating through his wool uniform, and he peeled off his chest protector, his shin guards, and mask, and laid them neatly down on home plate, and he turned to the umpire and said, "I'll return when those two guys decide to play baseball. Right now, I'm going to go take a shower."
With a newspaper.
Don't touch it.
In 1934, this is when his career took a turn.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So 1934, he was a member of the team of Americans that went to Tokyo. Mm-hmm. Baseball players, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, All-Stars, and Moe Berg. Went to Tokyo.
Did he speak Japanese?
Well, he taught himself a little bit for the trip, actually.
Oh.
He spoke Sanskrit, John.
Yeah.
Again,
Right,
it's a basic intro into any language.
Right,
Yes,
sure.
It's technically Asian. So it's a little suspect that he was even involved in this trip. Nobody in Tokyo knew who Moe Berg was.
Oh, is that Moe Berg?
Oh! No, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, absolutely. 34 especially, I mean, they were legends already at this point. But Moe Berg, newspaper guy, went to read.
Right.
And
now it's full of characters and he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Or maybe he does.
He presumably walked the streets of Tokyo dressed in a long black kimono.
Hell yeah.
And he entered St. Luke's Hospital where the daughter of the American ambassador had just given birth. So he went there to go visit her, in quotes. He never visited her. He went to the roof of the building and shot film of the entire layout of Tokyo. That footage would later be used in the 1942 bombing raid of Tokyo by the United States military. The motherfucker was a spy!
No! He's like, I've been reading the papers and this Hitler's no good. I'll tell you.
I get my instructions out of the crossword.
Gotta bomb the fuck out of this place. Go ahead, Babe Lou, have a good time.
5 down. Pictures. Oh.
The American ambassador's daughter's having a baby. I gotta go see her.
I gotta see something about the roof.
Who are you again?
Apparently there's a newspaper up there.
There's a newspaper on the roof. You gotta go save it.
In 1943, he was recruited by the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, which would then go on to become the CIA. And it was his mastery of languages. He had the ability to pick up things really quick in general. Like I said, he taught himself very rudimentary Japanese on the trip to Japan. One of his first assignments was to parachute into Yugoslavia to inquire into the relative strengths of the loyalists to King Peter and the communists, led by Joseph Broz Tito, against their fight in the Germans.
So he parachutes in, he lands on a farm, and the guy goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" He's like, "How's the king?"
Yeah.
And then he walks off?
Pretty much. Hey, how do you feel about this guy, Tito? And
what do you like, the king of the communists? Go, 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 chop, chop.
I got paid. There's a paper coming out. Evening edition's coming out, and I got to get back.
Which way to town? I was never here.
He parachuted into Yugoslavia, talked to some people, and then reported back to the United States that he felt that the partisans under Tito were superior and had the backing of the Yugoslav people. Thus, Greater American aid went to Tito.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
That's all it took back then, was one guy going into town.
Yeah.
What's the news?
Who do we back? The ball player says Tito.
Send the bombers. He went to South America to secure support from countries against the fight against the Axis powers.
Sure.
He spoke Spanish and Sanskrit, of course.
Of course.
Big Sanskrit speaking population in Colombia at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another mission, Berg posed as a German businessman in Switzerland. His job order from the OSS was to carry a holstered pistol and, should he deem it necessary, assassinate Werner Heisenberg, the top scientists suspected of working on an atomic bomb. If indeed the Germans were working on an atomic bomb, they weren't. And so he didn't shoot Heisenberg, but his orders were to, if they were working on an atomic bomb, shoot Heisenberg and take a cyanide capsule.
Jesus Christ!
And he said, "Oh no, they weren't working on it. I guess."
I guess catching's not that tough in retrospect.
Yeah. So he was able to conclusively find out, or he didn't want to know, so he wouldn't have to kill himself.
Right. I think that's a good question.
He's a good guy.
No, this Heisenberg he's going to do big things, but blowing up shit's not one of them.
So, but were they not in pursuit of the atomic weapon? I don't.
They weren't far enough along. I think at this point it was probably 1940. He didn't get officially recruited into the OSS until 43. And that's, of course, nearing the end of the war.
And we had Einstein by then.
Yes.
But Einstein did say they were going for it.
He said they were going for it.
Yes. But they weren't close.
They didn't have me. I'm being Einstein.
Oh, right.
Right, yes.
But Heisenberg was not apparently directly involved with that. I could be wrong, listeners, but Heisenberg went on to do things in quantum physics and stuff. And I think he also cooked meth in New Mexico, according to the documentary series Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Yeah,
Heisenberg.
That is true. And that's a fact.
Berg stayed with the OSS until it dissolved in 1945. And afterward, he served on the staff of NATO's Advisory Group for Aeronautical Research and Development. He was a weird, proud man. When he was asked to write his biography, he refused. He said, no, not gonna. No more of the. And part of the reason might have been that his co-author thought he was Moe from the Three Stooges.
Wait, really?
Oh my God!
You know, they assign like a ghostwriter to you.
Shut the fuck up.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Kind of looks like him.
That's a terrible ghostwriter. A guy who can't do.
He's like, you're a Jewish guy named Moe.
Yeah, and you're famous, kind of.
And you must be in the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen a million of those movies at that time and don't know what that guy looks like.
Where's your hair?
Which is obviously not you.
So stupid.
You know, Moe from the Three Stooges reads the paper a lot.
He speaks Sanskrit.
You know, I'm beginning to think this Three Stooges isn't that real.
I heard he jumped out of a plane in Yugoslavia.
I don't have any bumps growing out of my head. What's going on, dude?
So people think that because he was such a shitty ball player that it all might have been a cover, that he was a plant there by the U.S. government, because it allowed him to travel kind of at will and interact with a bunch of different people. There's some other...
Starting at what time, though? I mean, like, what time would it be, would his career be starting that they would be like, let's get this guy into the MLB that will then make him a spy? You know what I'm saying?
Right, because he retired from the major leagues in 1939. So the war... The most of his baseball years were not during quote-unquote official wartime.
But it was the kickoff.
Right. So the U.S. did have like intelligence agencies involved.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, especially back then, a catcher who is as smart as he is can probably call a pretty good game, probably knows how to fuck with hitters, what kind of rhythm throws them off, what pitches they can hit. So he's probably a really good catcher.
There's value. There's legit baseball value there. Yeah.
You're calling the pitches.
Right.
You have to remember. He had a really good memory.
Yeah.
So knowing how a batter bats, what their pitch selection is like.
Interesting. Okay, that's very good.
Maybe talking shit to players in various languages.
I mean, with baseball, it's like two weeks ago, this guy had 2 strikes on him, couldn't hit a curveball.
Right.
That's all. Sometimes that's what a catcher. That's kind of like the beauty they bring to those moments.
Yeah, the weird sabermetrics Moneyball stuff that he was probably doing in his head.
Right.
Didn't matter if he was hitting 200.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there are catchers in the major leagues today who are hitting like 250. So it's not like it's beyond reason.
Very, very astute analysis, Matt.
Oh, thank you, Rand. I said Aaron, all right.
I think you said Ayn Rand.
Thank you, Ayn Rand.
Thank you, Ayn Rand.
He also supposedly refused the Medal of Merit.
Really?
And his sister accepted it upon his death.
Wow.
Aww.
Ethel.
Did he ever say why?
No, I mean, probably like, humility and stupid virtues like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he would be getting it for spy work.
right. He couldn't tell people why he got it.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of it.
Yeah, so what's the point? Yeah.
Hey, what'd you get that for? Well, people would ask him, and this would usually happen later in life after he was no longer a spy.
Yeah.
But people would ask him either, how he was, what he was thinking about, or what are you doing for a living now?
Yes.
And he would just go, shh. He would just put his finger up to his lips and go, shh.
Really?
Yeah. But people were like, yeah, dude, we know you were a spy. Even though he went on to, he was a lawyer and he lived in New York, but he moved in with his brother and lived with his brother for 17 years.
Wow.
So there was a book written about him. It was called The Catcher Was a Spy. I think it may be a play on Catcher in the Rye.
Yes. It sounds like it
was a spy.
But it also sounds like one of those Matt Christopher books where it's like the first baseman who could catch. It's like really basic children's sports
stories. The boy
stories.
who could fly.
Yeah.
The receiver who could run.
Air Bud.
Yeah.
The biography spent 7 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list.
No shit.
Yeah. And it described it as the life of Moe Berg, big league catcher, OSS agent, ladies' man, and freeloader.
Wait, did it say freeloader?
It said freeloader.
Wait, what?
Why was he a freeloader?
Well, he lived with his brother for 17 years after he was a major league ball player, spy, and a lawyer.
Right.
And he just kind of was like a bum after that.
Right.
And he was kind of curmudgeonly, and he was he was always aloof.
Yeah.
And
I prefer to think of it as chilling.
He did enough for the country to take a back seat.
Freeloader?
Freeloader.
He's not on the fucking taxpayer's dime. He's at his brother's house.
he said his brother Samuel said that after the war, Moe became a bit moody and snappish.
Yeah.
He probably saw some shit.
He did.
He saw Babe Ruth's penis.
He might have had PTSD.
That thing, from seeing Babe Ruth's disgusting penis.
Oh,
Yeah.
disgusting.
Syphilitic-ridden penis.
Horrible.
Never mind those Yugoslav farmers.
Yeesh, somebody get me a newspaper.
Just tell me King Tito, go, chop.
Moe seemed like a lost soul. He appeared directionless, living only for his books. Just newspapers and books.
God.
He would show up to Mets games. He was a big Mets fan, John.
Hell yeah.
No wonder he was tortured.
And like you, usually sitting alone in right field. Wearing his customary black suit and carrying a black umbrella.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like a weird...
What a sight.
Yeah.
What a sight. He didn't have the kimono anymore, I guess.
No.
He left the black kimono.
He left it on the rooftop.
Jesus. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. After almost 17 years of living with his brother, with newspapers and books piling up.
Wait. What time frame is this now?
So,
Like early 60s?
No, this must have been
Late 50s.
Late 50s?
Yeah.
Late 50s, and maybe into the 60s, because it was 17 years. So
Sure.
Sam was going insane and asked his brother to leave.
His brother asked him to leave.
Yes, he said, can you
get the fuck out of here?
Can you get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
Being a weirdo.
Yeah.
And Moe did not leave.
Good for him, dude. Good for him.
But then Sam had his lawyers drop eviction papers and got Moe to leave.
Wow.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Moe wound up living out the rest of his life in his sister's house.
That's why you have a big family.
Yeah, in Belleville, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Things weren't always great there either.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
Newspapers piling up?
yeah, newspapers, books piling up.
You think you could bury them once they're dead?
A lot of shushing.
Yeah.
Bury the newspapers once they're dead. Very
Right.
good. One time, a relative came to visit Moe at Ethel's, and he offered to take her to go see the writer Anita Luce. And Ethel heard about this, and she rushed out of the house, started tearing up her garden, and said, "That son of a bitch never asked me to go with him to meet Anita Luce, and now he asks you." So, things weren't always great at home.
Huh.
Anita Luce?
I don't know, she's a famous writer, I guess.
Huh. So she was just...
She was jealous.
She tore up her own food out of anger.
Yeah, like Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Valentine's Day.
Ah.
Anita Luce.
Was she? And she was single too, apparently. Like a.
Yeah, I think she maybe was a spinster, and he a confirmed bachelor.
Wow. Yes. So there's gonna be a lot of rage.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of sexual tension.
Yeah, a lot of pent up nut.
I was going to say Odd Couple, but sure. Pent Up Nut is also the good name of a TV show.
Yes.
Pent up nut.
I am diagnosing you with a bout of nutus pentupticus.
It's got to be a Harry Potter stuff.
He apparently actually, this is not on my notes, but I read this.
I don't like Anita Loose.
There was he was sharing a room with another player on the road.
As you do.
One night, and the guy started. I think he wasn't feeling so hot, and
Overcomes Moe
and says, "Stick out your tongue." He sticks out his tongue and goes, "You, sir, are suffering from a bout of intestinal fortitude." And the guy goes, "Well, what, really?" And then he went to see the team doctor the next day, and then like cursed out Moe. He's like, "You son of a bitch! Have you ever?" He made some comment about him, like, "Yeah, if you could hit as good as you were smart or something."
Right. Yeah. You might be funny, Moe, but us guys that got kicked by donkeys hit better than you do.
I think that's exactly what was said.
Yeah.
Book turning wrists.
Apparently, despite all this, he was popular with men of influence and somehow considered a womanizer. I didn't get a lot of this from what I read.
Now, hold on just a second. See, I thought that immediately when you said he was going to be drafted into the Waspy Club in college. I thought this guy gets by on personality somehow with people that are a little hoity-toity.
Yes.
Right.
The minute you said that, I was like, this guy gets by on personality.
Right. I don't know if that was the case. I think he was still just I think he was too aloof for that, right? It was his friend who wanted him to join that club.
Yeah, but it's like, is it one of those things where it's like, you're interesting because you are a fucking weirdo?
Right. Yeah, so you want one of those guys in the group.
Right. One of the goofballs. Yeah. But I mean, also, it sounds like, because he was a spy, he's probably pretty good at being the person people wanted him to be in order to
gain access.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's what it was. I think that he could carry himself well in a lot of different situations.
Right.
Whether or not it was genuine is kind of up for debate. But he could, put on whatever kimono or suit or umbrella he needed to.
Right. Yes.
He wears that umbrella well.
Man, that guy could wear the shit out of an umbrella, dude. Apparently he would make some women and people and small children uncomfortable on at least 2 occasions. According to the author, Berg may have touched or fondled small children in a sexual manner.
Yikes.
Eesh.
It's not good spy work.
This kid's dead. I need a new one.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The Moe Berg story.
The Diddler was a spy.
Yes.
The Diddler was a spy.
Totally different book.
In May 1972, Berg was hospitalized after a fall. His condition worsened. Doctors could not identify the cause of his decline, but whatever.
That's that attention to detail.
Aortic aneurysm. He fell and hit his fucking head.
Yeah. No, it was old times. He fell. The end.
He grew up in a cold water tenement. He shouldn't have made it past 40.
Yeah.
Right.
May 29th, 1972, Berg died. His last words.
I love last words.
How are the Mets doing today?
No.
Shut the fuck up.
No. Oh, God. What a...
I love that. Oh.
I knew you would, John.
Christ. That is good stuff. How are the Mets doing
Croak.
today?
Croak.
Right. Yeah.
Croak.
Yeah, you know what the answer was? It's the fucking Mets.
Yeah.
How do you think?
You know what the answer is? Read a newspaper, dickhead.
Don't you read?
Get the late edition, you shithead.
Before his death.
I can't. Some kid touched it. Now I touched the kid. What the fuck?
Before his death, he said, this is sometime before his death, not immediately before.
Right.
I told you what his last words were.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not in the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame like so many of my baseball buddies, but I'm happy I had the chance to play pro ball, and I'm especially proud of my contributions to my country. Perhaps I could not hit like Babe Ruth, but I spoke more languages than he did.
Wow. Wow.
Moe Berg.
So this is the only time really that he actually does accept some kind of like,
I did some service for my
accolade.
country. Yeah, I mean, he did have he got the Medal of Merit.
Right, and wouldn't take it.
Right, because he couldn't talk about it.
Well, yeah, but also...
But I mean, hey, then you mean he took his job seriously.
You know what I also think, though, is and maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know how long spies have been romanticized. But I think, like, maybe not always it was the coolest thing to be a spy. You're kind of like a snitch.
You're a turncoat, yeah.
Yeah, like you're playing on people's better nature. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're et cetera.
I don't think it was romanticized probably until James Bond.
Right.
The literature.
Yeah, it's definitely a dirty profession.
Yeah.
And
a scoundrel.
Even in all those baseball clubhouses, what you see here, what you hear here, what you say here stays here.
Locker room
Right.
talk.
Yeah.
So both of his professions were things that he was not allowed to expound upon.
Right. Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's very, very good stuff, Aaron.
Yeah, very.
I really like that a lot.
I do too.
So where did this come from? Where did you get into this dude?
Fuck, dude. I think I was. I was listening to. I'm on this Bill Bryson kick right now.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Author Bill Bryson.
I think this is like episode 10 in a row.
Yeah, fuck, dude. I mean, I just can't. Like every time he's got so many books, and like every time I'm just like, I want to hear more what this guy has to say about cool shit. So,
Right.
The first Bill Bryson book I read was read to me, was A Brief History of Nearly Everything.
Right.
And that's Big Bang to now, and just science, history, all that stuff. And then the one after that was called Home. And in Home, Bill Bryson, he goes through every room of his home in England. I think he's an American, but who's lived in England for the past like 40 years.
Right.
And he lives in this like country home out there. And he goes through every part of the home and talks about its history and where we get certain phrases, like where room and board come from, or chairman of the board. Like all these different phrases have like crazy back etymologies and histories. Every part of the house, from the chimney to the dining room to the bathroom, all this stuff. And so there's a lot of history there. And then the one I'm reading now is I think it's called One Summer, and it's about the summer of 1927. Exclusively the summer of 1927.
That was a big summer in his life, right?
No, Bill Bryson, no.
No?
I don't even think Bill Bryson was born by then.
So what was the significance of it?
It was a crazy summer. It was one...
Just a significant event.
it was a year that changed the world, specifically a summer that changed the world.
Like 68 was in America.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lindbergh going across the Atlantic solo for the first time, radio being popularized, and Babe Ruth going on a tear. It just like a bunch of stuff was going on. And I think I was listening to something, and it was about Babe Ruth, who was also a character. I mean, everyone knows Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth also Babe Ruth was basically an orphan. Grew up in an orphanage. He grew up at an orphanage. Learned to play baseball there, and his first entrance to the world anywhere was as a professional baseball player. He went from having no privacy period ever, showering and shitting and eating with boys of his,
Well, that's why it was like the Depression era hero for everyone, because it was like, this guy wasn't like shit at all.
Yeah, he wasn't anything.
And now he's...
And Joe Jackson, the same thing. Shoeless Joe. He grew up working at a factory, was a fucking amazing hitter. And then people give shit like, oh, he took the money from the gambler. Yeah, he definitely did.
Because they were paid nothing.
His name was Shoeless Joe Jackson.
People
he had no shoes.
Even in the book, they think that Shoeless Joe didn't even know what putting a fix on a game was.
Right. Well, I was originally of the whole, I've read biographies about him, and I was originally of the idea like he didn't do anything. But then you read the newspaper accounts of the day, and it's like, Joe Jackson made a really weird error out there in left field.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so... He also had one game where he, stole home.
Yeah, at times he made mistakes, but he hit the only home run of the whole series, and so it's like this... He definitely didn't... He made some mistakes, but he also tried to balance the scales a little bit.
Right.
And those players also were not... They were getting screwed over by the owners, hardcore.
Yeah, Charles Comiskey was the fucking owner. He would charge them to wash their uniforms.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was just a total miser.
Now, were you familiar with Moe Berg, Matt?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, that's
good spy.
stuff.
And he's got a face like you've seen this guy's face before. I mean, you haven't.
He has one of those classic old
he's in the Three
baseball
Stooges.
faces.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, he's one of the Pep Boys. He's Moe.
Right. Oh, not Jack.
Not Manny either.
Oh,
Manny of
you're
Mannyland fame.
Right, yes.
I would be Manny's wingman. This guy's got a roller coaster
Yeah, and a lot of shit.
and a tiny bank that's actually an outhouse. So yeah, I think I was reading something about, Babe Ruth or something like that, and then this guy popped up, or maybe I was on Reddit, I don't know, but I saw it and I was like, oh, this guy was a pro baseball player and spy and possible homosexual.
Homosexual. Yes, I love that pronunciation.
And then the Paul Rudd thing just came out. It was like, oh, I guess the movie came out in January or something like that. And
yeah, I mean, what about all these high-profile spies, huh?
Spies, huh?
What an ironic thing. Huh?
But I mean, really,
Isn't it cool?
I mean, we were talking about, fucking, I mean,
Aleister Crowley.
yeah, Crowley and all these guys that are like mega famous and
And Jack Parsons too. They thought he was spying for Israel toward the end.
right, and the fucking the game show guy they made the movie about,
Yes.
like so many famous people. I guess it is the last place you would ever think.
Yes.
Right, but also the government's like, here's how do they find people that they think are smart enough to be spies? They're like, oh, this guy's in the news for being smart.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So either we can go through all the SAT scores in the world,
Yeah.
or we already know everything about this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause he's
And who has access?
yeah.
Yes.
And so what happens when you're that guy and the government comes and they go, hey, we have
Yeah.
a thing we need from you. That'd be great for your country.
Right.
You want to serve your country, Junior?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always like one of those lines like, fuck you for putting me in this position.
Oh,
I can't say
Jesus.
no to this shit.
Yeah.
Do I get a cool gun?
Does Trump give me a high five?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, now I think it'd be a lot easier to say no.
Yeah.
Do you want to serve your country?
Which one?
I'm a lawyer and a baseball player. Pretty easy to say no there. You know what I mean? Same thing with like Crowley and all those guys. It's like, no, I like have my own religion and stuff.
But is it though? I mean, like,
Well, I guess maybe back then, maybe not. Maybe it was more gun to your head type.
Well, I mean, I think in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30s. I think it's a pretty.
The war's
It's a
ramping up.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
You see what's going on in Germany over there.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, as far as calling, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But also baseball players were not making money back then, especially Moe Berg.
Yeah.
Moe Berg wasn't making money. It wasn't until Babe Ruth that players started making money.
Wow.
Babe Ruth is that, we were talking about maybe doing like higher profiles, like what you don't know about what you think you know type of people, like
Right.
Michael Jackson or whatever. Babe
Yeah.
Ruth would definitely be one.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple years ago. I wrote a fake history of Babe Ruth calling his shot. It's on my website if you want to read it.
A fake history of Babe Ruth calling his shot.
Yeah. It's fun. You can the great thing about history is you can just make it up.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Me and Matt have both done fake history stuff.
Oh, that's right. You wrote it in a magazine, a zine.
I did a counterfeit ejaculate, a history of the earth.
Yes. My fake history is my whole life.
I
can see it.
Dude, you fucking mystic ass weirdo.
Yeah, bro. Fucking nothing is real.
Aaron, I love that profile.
I'm glad you liked it. I just threw it together. I'm sorry if it was a little dashed.
No, it was
no.
very, very
Half
good
baked.
stuff.
That's exactly what we need.
I do want to see the movie now.
Yeah.
And I also want to try to, investigate a little bit more about this guy.
Yeah. He did have like a lot of missions. Like he did go on missions. He was a spy. He was a patriot. He really did a lot of shit.
Yeah, that is fucking
He jumped
crazy.
out of airplanes.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Not easy to do.
No.
No.
I mean, you usually have to practice that.
Yeah.
And then
Your
you're-
gravity does most of the
And then
work.
you land in Yugoslavia? How does
And then you talk-
physics work there?
And then you talk to
But
people.
also, I mean, like, also, what a stupid way of doing things. It's like, we're gonna drop you into this farm, and you're gonna suss out whether it's King or Tito.
Yeah.
And it's
Report back.
it's like, what if you're in fucking Tito town?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean,
Well, that's why we hired you. Suss it out.
Yeah,
I was
figure
over
it
there.
out.
They said, Tito, what do you guys think?
yeah, it's like,
If things get squirrely, bite on this pellet. What happens? You'll see. We come and get you.
it's a signal.
We come and get you later. The thing is, the airplanes had just been popularized.
Right.
they were still a novelty. I mean, they were used minimally in World War I for light. I mean, in World War I, people were throwing grenades and Molotov cocktails out of the planes.
Yeah, they're dropping cows out of planes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but then not 10 years, 15 years later, he's flying over foreign countries, jumping out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just.
I mean, you're flying with an immediacy that you and I still don't fly with today. It's like, we're going to put you in a plane, and you're going to get out and be immediately where you need to be.
Safely, reliably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not flying into Newark.
Right. And there's no baggage claim. It's just going to be.
There's no baggage.
Yeah. There's just going to be you and the cattle. And
a lot of noise.
Right.
And risk.
Yeah, a lot of risk.
It's we're just so soft. We're just so soft. Like, we've talked about this a lot before. The stuff that that generation of men and women went through is just incredible.
Yeah.
Jumping out of planes, hitting baseballs, shooting movies on top of Japanese buildings, wearing kimonos, reading newspapers.
Yeah, watching the Mets.
Cold baths.
Yeah, that's the toughest part, really.
Well, tricking kids into fucking Hey, he spoke Sanskrit.
The kids' language. It's hip with the kids.
Well, before we go, if I may,
please.
Anytime baseball comes up, I always think back to Jim Bowen's book Ball 4, and you mentioned two characters who are mentioned in Ball 4 who I'd like to do a quick little. When I was a kid, I loved Ball 4 so much that I would type out my favorite passages, and in a Google Doc, smartly enough, and so I have access to them. Here's a little.
You typed them out in a Google Doc as a kid?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a Microsoft Word doc that I've later put on the Googles.
Good foresight.
Very, very good.
Here's a story about Ted Williams from Jim Bowen, and he says, in the bullpen tonight, Jim Pagliaroni was telling us how Ted Williams, when he was still playing, would psych himself up for a game during batting practice, usually early practice before the fans or reporters got there. He'd go into the batting cage, wave his bat at the pitcher, and start screaming at the top of his voice, "My name is Ted fucking Williams, and I'm the greatest hitter in baseball."
Yes.
He'd swing and hit a line drive. "Jesus H. Christ himself couldn't get me out." And he'd hit another. Then he'd say, "Here comes Jim Bunning. Jim fucking Bunning and that little shit slider of his. Wham. He doesn't think he's going to get me out with that shit. Blam. I'm Ted fucking Williams. Suck."
Moe Berg said I have the sweetest wrists in the game. Blam. Ted Williams, only player to ever bat 400?
The last player.
One. Ty Cobb did it.
That is great, Matt.
Yes.
I love a maniac.
Brilliant.
One more story. You mentioned Casey Stengel, one of my favorite people ever. This is also from Ball 4, Jim Bowen's book. He said, Greg Goosen was doing his Casey Stengel impression, and he remembered the best thing the old man ever said about him. Casey said, "We got a kid here named Goosen, 20 years old, and in 10 years he's got a chance to be 30.
Very good.
Very, very nice. Very
positive.
Very nice.
Very positive stuff from Casey.
Dude, Ted Williams, man.
Ted Williams.
What a psycho.
Served in World War II.
Yeah.
His best years were at war.
And one of the greatest pilots we had during the war.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, he got an award for how many confirmed kills he had.
Jesus.
He was a sharpshooter. He had great eyesight. That
So
guy
was
had
he
a
screaming like a lunatic after
You
the
think
war?
you got anything on me, you jet bastard? I'm Ted fucking Williams.
My wrists are the size of Moe Berg's waist. That's good stuff. All right, we're going to fuck off. I love you, everybody. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody.
They're gonna cut off my head and fucking freeze it one day. I'm so fucking great.